Hey everybody, we're here for a new episode, RLG Cast Reviews. I'm here with JohnnyDonuts 777. I'm here with the Puttyman in his Deadpool hat, and he likes to eat cat. So we're just gonna jump right into this. We're reviewing
Meow.
Andor. If you don't know, Andor is a character from the Rogue One movie, and this is his story leading up to the events of that. This show will directly lead right into Rogue One. I'm not going to get too deep into the detail there, but so we'll give you a little bit of spoiler-free review first, and then we'll open the floor for discussion. Generally, guys, what did you think?
I thought this was fantastic. This is one of the better Star Wars shows I've seen since probably the second season of maybe the first season of Mandalorian.
Uh, I'm kind of here's the thing. I do still think it's one of the best out there outside Mandalorian. Though I still feel Mandalorian holds it better than this. My problem is I feel there are two slow moments. Like I understand the appeal of this series. It's more of seeing it's kind of like seeing the lower sides of it. You know what I mean? Seeing the people that have to deal with the Empire, stormtroopers, things of that nature, and having more of that down to earth feel where stormtroopers seem a little more menacing than they would against the Jedi. You know what I mean? But the problem I had was I felt like it started off slow only because it was just not making sense, which we'll get into that in the spoiler part. But it's like I felt it start off slow and then picked up good pace. That's how I feel. So I don't feel like it's the best out there, but it's right in the middle ground in my eyes. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say, unless we're counting visions, both seasons of the Mandalorian were better than this, but this is right there.
Yeah,
This is better than any Disney Plus show that came out this year. Like this is better than all the Marvel shows
I agree.
easily.
I agree with that. This is the best Disney Plus show this year.
However, that being said, the first four episodes of this show are not good. And I don't even mean that in the sense like they're like not as good as the next episode. No, they're genuinely not well made episodes of a TV show. It doesn't tell us any story. And then when you find out where the show's going later, everything that happened in those first four episodes is irrelevant.
It's
Well,
inconsequential, yeah.
But that's my whole point. Here was the thing. Here's where it missed the mark for me was I thought I didn't know how many episodes were. I was just kind of thrown into it. I knew I didn't look it up or anything like that. So for me, when I got to that episode, like episode 5, it felt like this was the ending. You know what I mean? Like it was just a 5 episode little mini series. I had no idea it was bigger. So between 1 to 5, leading up to that, I was like, this is stupid. This is boring. I hate this. And I
I'll give
literally
you that
stopped
too
watching
because when the events of episode 6 felt like the ending of a completely contained show. Like it could have just ended there and you would have been fine. You could have made 4 seasons with 6 episodes, you know what I mean, and dragged it out and made money. But hey, listen, granted the 4 first episodes weren't great.
It reintroduced you Andor. It showed you
Yeah.
how him and Luthen met and reintroduced you to Mon Mothma, basically.
But the last 8 episodes of this show were fantastic.
But see, here's the thing. I didn't feel anything for the characters you were introducing me to. I did later on with some of them, you know what I mean? Especially with the expanded cast with different people and their family and everything. So, like, I get why they did some of that main story. But, like, for example, I can't think of his name, but I don't want to do any spoilers about, but you know who I'm talking about. The young guy, his situation, the way it just happened just frustrated me because I was like, I didn't have emotion involved in it. Does that make any sense?
Which young
like,
guy?
I'm trying not to
the one
spoil
that
it.
wrote the manifesto?
Yes. So
Okay.
because that's the thing. I like the character, but then
But I understand why they put him in there. That sparks something in Andor's mind.
But it does come back at
no
the
emotion.
end. He remembers that exact moment. It has like a flashback to that.
But I didn't feel anything for it. Like I outside of
I don't know
family,
if you're supposed to. I'm gonna be honest. I don't
Yeah.
know if you're genuinely supposed to because there's a thing that happens later on, which we'll save this for open floor. But there's another thing that happens later on where I also genuinely felt nothing, but at the same time, I don't think it's supposed to. I think all the events of this show are showing you what's slowly turning Andor into becoming this like rebel leader, like Che Guevara, like full on like
Yeah.
leader of a movement. But anyways, okay, so like I said, I think the last 8 episodes are fantastic. They do make up for the first 4, and Disney has really struggled with this. Even in the Marvel shows, we've talked about it. Always the first 1 or 2 episodes suck, and then the show picks up. But generally, so I think the acting was good. I think visually it looked good. They did a good job with giving us characters and really showing me parts of the universe even more so than like Boba Fett or Mando did.
Yeah.
That like I didn't understand, like mundane life, daily, day-to-day jobs that these rebel and like Imperial people are doing.
Well, see, that was another thing too that I feel like I missed out on. Is like I said before, I stopped at like episode four, and I stopped watching them until literally today. And that's because when you get to episode 4, I finally watched 5 like a week later, and I was like, this felt like it was a self-contained story that was just very boring. And I didn't feel like there was a continuation unless outside of you knowing exactly. Like someone could have watched up to episode 5 and like, oh, well, there you go, great show, and walked away not knowing. You know what I mean?
Episode 6.
Is it 6?
Yeah,
okay,
6
well,
is where it like culminates.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that's right, 6. And that's where kind of hit with me, because I reviewed all 5, then I just stopped because 6 was just everything was just feeling like it wasn't doing good. So I just said I'll do all one some. Hopefully it gets better if it continues. And then I found out it did, and I was a little bit scared to watch. It wasn't until you, Campo, that I actually said
5 and 6 are probably the 2 best episodes of the whole show.
5 and 6 were the build-up and the heist, right?
Yeah.
That's
Without
what I'm
really
to.
giving too much away. But
Yeah,
Anyways,
so
okay,
then-
wait. Well, we won't. We'll go into. We'll leave spoiler-free territory here with our rating. So, what would you guys rate it?
I'm down to go first, and I felt like I it's gonna be different. I'm like a 6.5 or 7. I actually was not as excited as you guys might be, so that's kind
It's
of
not the first time one of us doesn't have the same feelings everybody else. So
Yeah,
I'm going higher. I'm way higher. I'm going like 7.7, 7.8.
I am gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this right now. Had those first episodes been as good as the rest of the show, I would rate this higher than The Mandalorian. It's really those first episodes that weigh the show down heavily. Like, but what Putty said, it gets very caught up in showing you nothing. Where these scenes are so long and draggy, and
Then again,
nothing
as
is
it builds
happening.
up, it shows you that backdoor politicking, that the mind games that are being played.
But we've seen that kind of stuff already in Obi-Wan.
Yes, but
Okay,
this
see-
is expanded a little bit more.
that's what-
I'm good. I'm an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Can we? Yeah, I definitely want to get into spoilers because I want to go.
Okay,
into
so
spoilers.
guys, if you came for spoiler free, that's your spoiler free. We're gonna open it up right now. 1, 2, 3, spoiler time.
Okay, so here was my situation with the whole thing of why I stopped. When I started this, it feels like they took a cast and threw them into the people to do the robbery. You know what I mean? Against the Empire to rob the whatever you want to call it, the robbery or the scam, whatever.
The garrison.
Yeah, the garrison. So here's the thing. When I saw that, I thought, this is the story, I'm guessing. This is what it is, them robbing it, it ends there. So when it got to that episode, and by the way, the one that was writing his memoirs, that's where I had a problem, because when the heist happened and then he dies, spoiler alert, we're in spoiler territory, I felt nothing for it. And it felt like a series could stop right there. And that's what made me think, oh God, this series is horrible. And when I got to that one, I actually didn't like watch it the first night it came out.
It's crazy to me that like you're not even saying like you hate this show. So like I'm not saying you do, but like you think the best episode by far is a bad episode.
Honestly, yeah, I did not like the lead up to that, and it just didn't impact me as much. So
I agree though, because can I just tail off on what you're saying?
Yeah,
I think that when they're in the jail later, when the old man dies,
Yes.
I also felt nothing for it because they don't. I realize what this is,
And that old man was in Batman 89.
Yes, he was. That was Bob. No, not Bob.
No, the
that
guy at
was,
the beginning. The
when
guy
he
at the
hits him
beginning.
with the thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gresham.
Gresham. No, he's
Isn't
the guy
it?
who goes, "What are you?" I'm Batman.
Oh yeah, on the roof. Okay, good call actually. Okay,
Yeah.
but like let's get focus.
Focus.
The whole point of the beginning is I don't know. Those first 4 episodes,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just to introduce you to characters and like it made no sense. So, but listen, those episode 5 and 6, you're
Were
not
the best
supposed to
episodes.
care about those people. I think the point of that was to show you that he was living this life of like, I'm so desperate for money. I'm a gun for hire. I'll do whatever. And then this heist showed him that everyone's expendable and you can't trust anyone. And that he really wants, he decided there's something he wants to live for now. And it's destroying the Empire. And it's like, that death, I think, is only supposed to mean something to him in his growth and not for us to care that guy died.
There's a
And the
couple
same with the
deaths.
guy in jail. The same
But-
thing with
But
the
there's the
jail
other
one.
guy too, the character who what's his name there? Smeagol from Lord of the Rings there played. You don't
Yeah,
know
see-
whether he survives or not.
But like
That's
the death
because he
of the
couldn't
old
swim.
man in the jail. So let me just finish this up.
Yeah.
The death of the old man in the jail is like they don't want you to feel bad for the guy who died either.
But that sparks something in
it was
them,
that was the antithesis of like now he got all the information from the doctor that came in, and that's where you're supposed to be like, that's why that death matters, not because you care that that guy died.
Well, no, I get that, but see, here's my thing though, and this is the situation too. The whole old man dying, I don't know why, because of the slow pacing, like you knew something was going to happen to him. I was waiting for that moment, so I
Yeah,
kind
the
of
buildup was clear. It was clear as day.
but see,
that
I
was
still
gonna happen.
felt it a little bit more than the kid. Because here's the thing: the old man kind of felt more like
Well,
a
the old man
short-lived-
was in it for 5 episodes. The kid was in it for 1 episode.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
Yeah,
what my
literally.
point. But that's my point. See, at least they gave it time to think. That kid, like, why did he even kill him in the first place? Like, what outside of that one scene? And that's my whole point. Is it felt like it was it still feels like
I
a
think
shoehorn.
that is not shoehorn. I think that is to show that some things, if you believe in something, it's worth dying for.
Well, yeah, to push the whole rebellion idea. And see, the thing
Yeah.
is, I get that, but I feel like a lot of that happened in the show where it was like, oh, we're setting up the rebellion. This is happening. It's like, well, yeah, this is what this series is about. This series is about getting and setting up for the rebellion where, Leia and all that comes in. Yeah. And it's good reason.
And like, so for me, a big thing that I liked about Obi-Wan, which everyone knows about me by now, Obi-Wan and this is that it pulled the curtain back on the politics, and it was all about politicking. And you give me my Game of Thrones, give me 10 episodes where not one single thing happens except people sitting in rooms talking about politics, and that's my show. And this was that. And Obi-Wan had a lot of that as well, and I really enjoy that because whoever would have thought in our wildest dreams of watching Star Wars that we were going to get to understand what life was like inside of a prison.
Yeah, see,
and that reveal at the end that's what they were making.
Yeah.
And see, that's exactly the other point too. And I think that's the reason why for me, maybe it doesn't go into the politics of it all. I like that idea. I get to see that, but I've never been a political person anyway when it comes to politics in general.
Well, neither am I. That's why I kind of gravitate to that.
I'm the opposite. I actually don't gravitate, but the whole prison scene, the whole like poor scene, like people being like more poor natured or living in that kind of thing, that did appeal to me. So I think that's the reason why when they were going to do the garrison or the location and steal from it, it was something that I didn't have any kind of impact on me. But then when it started getting to more of the people and then the prison, that's when it started going, okay, this is hitting it for me. This is what I like about it now.
Well, yeah, it's like how they're extending their prison sentences without them knowing, the rules have changed and that kind of stuff. I like that kind of.
The thing that you find out at the end is that when your time expires, nobody leaves. They just kill you.
Or they
transfer you
else
to a different
area. To another area.
Which is what they were doing.
Yeah, and that's how they tricked them. They thought they weren't communicating, but they were doing all the thing.
Well, because the real point of the prison was to take whoever they could put false claims of like crime on and get them to do general labor for free, right? You feed
slaves,
them,
basically your slaves.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's exactly it. And the reveal that they're putting together the focus laser, like if it's spoiler zone, it's the focusing laser, the focusing dish for the Death Star. Was what all those plates were for.
But see, again, this is how all these stories are basically sent up for anyway. This is all still leading to what Rogue One did. It's the whole Death Star building of it, and I like that there's still that's still a part of this whole storyline.
Who knows? Season 2, we could even get a what's his name showing up. Forgot his name now. Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, we might for sure. I mean, you might even get like some Jane Erso.
Yeah.
You're definitely gonna get that robot because they already introduced us to like him visually.
Yeah,
and you're also gonna get more Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
he was really good.
Yeah, and Donnie Yen, like
all the acting was really good.
Yeah, they brought even what's her name, the one who was in Game of Thrones there, the ones who played that leader of the heist there.
Oh, frig. I'm not.
Vel was her name in the show, but
Yeah.
like she was really good. And then the whole like there's that conflict between her and that other girl as well on Pharynx and all that. Like there's other intrigues there that is going to lead to the second season. What's up with them?
It was interesting that it spawned a lot of in-world conspiracies, which we've never seen that before in Star Wars. There's
like the one who's working, that girl who's working in the antique shop with Luthen. You don't know which side she's playing.
Yeah, like, and that I was still at the end. I was kind of frustrated by the fact that you don't even know what her angle is. And then the girl from the heist, what's her name?
Vel?
That comes back at the end.
The one from Game of Thrones or the other girl? Yeah.
The one that she comes back at the end with her sister or whatever her cousin is, the politician.
Yeah. Mon Mothma.
Yeah. And but then her like angle to everything is so like brick-headed and just like tell me the information, and like that's not how we operate.
No. But I even like how she set up her husband for the fall with the you're gambling again. Who told you these lies? Like, because she knew that the pilot was going to listen in on the conversation and spread these rumors.
And then the show kind of ends with like you seeing or possibly arranged marriage, the forced arranged marriage that's happened now. And like her husband is like a beta cuck. He's like a useless person that just like politics behind her back.
Yeah.
And uses her power as leverage to do things.
I'm starting to realize, and I'm kind of hoping maybe we'll also see the same thing a little bit more of what happened from the prequels too, because remember they had a lot of those politics where they were hinting the Death Star as well and doing all that. And if they could find a way to make that connect to the OG universe, the OG movies, it would be brilliant to see, because there's a lot of that stuff that's involved that.
You know what? Until you just said that, I've spent this whole time not even realizing that this is before the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
exactly.
basically, the events of season 2 are going to lead right into Rogue One,
which leads
right into episode 4.
Episode 4, yeah.
But see, that's what I'm saying. They could always at least hint or even show something, like even that little pod that showed the Death Star and the prequels and everything. Things of that nature could be expressively found within this universe and be like, oh, look what I found, this kind of thing, or things of that nature. I'm not sure how they will implement it. They'll probably do it.
I like the avoidance of Vader and this type of thing,
and the Palpatine and all that. Yes, it shows you the day-to-day guys.
That there's so much nuance to this universe.
Yeah.
But it's all controlled by one person who technically doesn't even give a shit what any of those people are doing anyways.
Well, it's like in episode 4, they've mentioned the Emperor, but you never see the Emperor.
Yeah, it's everything they do is for the Emperor, but the Emperor doesn't even care what you guys are doing. What you're doing is so irrelevant.
And I'd be just fine if we don't see Vader or the Emperor in this series.
Well, that makes sense too, because the whole Emperor thing, it's always been the Emperor letting Vader kind of take over the whole, I guess, the political nature of things, or keeping like actually building the empire itself. But that's the great thing, that it's so dark, because those sections, Vader and them they'll talk about them maybe, but they're going to be just as deceptive as they are, because they have a common goal that Vader believes in. You know what I mean? And that's such a deep thing to be. So hey, these guys are powerful, so we believe in this, which is kind of like what religion can be in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's good. I really hope that we get to see Ben Mendelsohn in the next one.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that character was super underrated as like a villain.
Well, now that guy saved that captain there, what's her name there? She was Deidre Miro.
You absolutely lost me if you're gonna ask me names for the show. I don't know anybody's names.
So that female officer.
Yes.
That guy who was kicked out saved her at the end.
Yeah.
I think something's going to happen with them two and Ben Mendelsohn, where they're going to get together with him, because Ben Mendelsohn.
As a threesome?
Well, that maybe, but Ben Mendelsohn is ahead of that other guy.
Yeah.
Who she reported to.
Well, it's weird because that guy, they kind of show you that he's been like, oh my God, what do you call it? When someone's like, because of who he's related to is the reason he got there. What's the word I'm looking for?
Nepotism.
And like, he never deserved to have that job. So then he tried his hardest now to prove that he's belonged where he is. Like, he's trying really hard to like get it.
Yeah. It's intriguing, and I'm really excited to see where season 2 is going to go with this. For me, at least.
I mean, I'm excited more of how it's gonna influence the other universes. Like I feel like it's going to have a lot of influence on it, but it's not going to like overshadow what it is. Because for me now, as I watch the show, I want it to exist because it educates me more than it entertains me. But because of the Star Wars universe educating me, Star Wars does entertain me in a lot of ways. So that's the reason why I'm fine with it. But just don't give me that loose whole beginning where it just doesn't really be needed except to introduce us one character. You could have done that in one episode. You know what I mean?
That's fair. And I like at the end of the day, like let's wrap this up. But at the end of the day, I don't think any one of us, even with Putty giving it a lower rating, is saying don't watch the show. I think it's definitely worth checking out. You may not like it as much as everybody, but it's still not a show that you should shy away from.
I want to say this. I feel like this is this is more for the older Star Wars crowd. A lot of these kids are not going to like it, and that's the way I look at it. Only because
but I feel like none of these shows are for the younger crowd.
But at least Mandalorian has a little bit of cutesiness or action packed. This has action, but not enough action.
Like, there's so much lore in the Mando. Like if you don't get it,
what did Randall say in Clerks 2? All Jedi had was a bunch of Muppets.
Yeah, exactly. You get this. There's only one return, and it's of the Jedi. Okay, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Check out this show, check out their stuff in the bio, and peace out.